Hey guys, it's day one of my Royal Caribbean Harmony of the Seas cruise. Now my mom, my niece, and I, we got up early and we made the drive from the Houston area down to Galveston. There's the ship far out in the distance. We were so excited to see her, and man, is she a big girl. And hey, from one big girl to the other, she is fabulous. One thing I love about Royal Caribbean right now is their terminal in Galveston. Honey, they have outdone themselves with this beautiful new terminal. I was thrilled to get this incredible parking spot. I was in the north lot, not in the premium covered, but I was super close. Now, because they were doing ship tours today, they made us wait outside when we were on Allure of the Seas. We didn't have to do that last time, but they weren't doing a ship tour. Now, they eventually moved us to these lines, and I have to tell you, loading went super, super quick. It was definitely warm as we waited outside, but it didn't take long before we were inside this big, beautiful terminal. And guys, I forgot just how incredibly organized Royal Caribbean is. I was kind of shocked at how fast and seamless all of this happened. I mean, we walked through security, we sat down, we had amazing seating, and we were like on the ship before 11. I haven't seen anything like it. I haven't experienced anything like that in literally a year since the last time I was on Royal. And I love that Harmony of the Seas reminds me so much of Allure of the Seas. Obviously, they're sister ships. I mean, there are definitely some differences in the Rising Tide bar where we sat. I love that they have lower seats and not the high top tables. But I tell you what, we did not have to wait for our rooms very long because we sat there at the Rising Tide bar, and guys, look at my ocean view cabin. Now, my niece and I chose a cabin where our window is facing out the front of the ship because it gives us this extra space over here. And I am already loving it. It's really cool to just lay down and look up because you can actually see the stars at night. And would you believe that one tinkle later and our toilet was overflowing? We ended up having to call maintenance, and you know what they said? They said somebody had put wipes down the toilet. Guys, I'm not even kidding. We ended up going and getting a drink at Bolero's while they took care of our bathroom situation. And the staff was super polite, but we had to tell them, hey, we did not flush any wipes. It was from the people before us. By the time everything got fixed, it was dinner time, and the menu was quite nice. I really love our table, and I really love that light fixture there. I ended up going for the crab cake for my appetizer, and it was super tasty. I would give it probably an 8 out of 10. Then I ordered the prime rib, and oh no, this was a miss, guys. The cut was super thick, and I like a rare piece of meat, but oh my God, it was just so chewy that I ended up sending it back, which I never do, but I just couldn't eat it, guys, and got this chicken breast, and it was pretty good. Maybe a 7 out of 10. And guys, key lime pie. Royal Caribbean key lime pie is an easy 10. After dinner, we just kind of walked the promenade because we had a reservation for the ice skating rink and the show 1887. But look at the balloons and how amazing it is. I think I've told you guys at least a dozen times that one of the best things that I love about Royal Caribbean is their gorgeous promenades. And it absolutely did not disappoint. Absolutely beautiful. Then we made it to the ice skating rink, and we got there super early so we could get a front row seat. And I have to tell you guys, I really, really enjoyed this show. I'm not going to lie, the plot made absolutely no sense, but the performers were absolutely top notch, very professional, very fun to watch, and very engaging with the audience, I'm telling you. I loved just how gorgeous the set was and the effects were. This is where Royal definitely stands out because coming from Norwegian, which I love, which I really do, the entertainment is seriously lacking when compared to Royal. I'm sorry, there, I said it. I mean, Royal just absolutely put on a gorgeous show. Again, the plot really didn't make much sense, but I mean, they packed as much entertainment as they possibly could in these 50 minutes. And I'm telling you, I loved it. Now, after the show, I ended up going to the casino, and as you all know, I have historically never won in the Royal Casino. Love Royal, love the casino, never have loved the Royal Casino. But guys, would you believe that I finally won? I ended up taking home $200. It was a great day. Welcome to day 2 of my Harmony of the Seas cruise. Now, I woke up and just had to admire this gorgeous view out of our window. It was just a beautiful, lovely day. Then I decided I was going to walk around the ship. There was some trivia, so I thought, hey, I'm going to walk around a bit. I'm going to get to trivia early. And I just admired these beautiful elevators. Now, a word of warning, if you are a lady who wears dresses, I want you to know that people can see up your skirts when they are on the lower decks. Yeah, totally a peeper's dream come true, for real. By the time that I made it to trivia, it was so crowded and people were saving seats. Guys, you would think there was an actual prize on the line, honey, because nobody wanted to let me sit down, and they were saving chairs like Chapel Rome was about to show up. So I decided to walk around. One thing I've always liked to do whenever I am in a busy, crowded place is to look up. I started doing this as a kid, I think, because of social anxiety, and I didn't want to look at people and I didn't want to look at the ground. But I continued doing this as an adult because look at all the beautiful architecture and design that people often overlook. Now, luckily, I have a camera that can do this for me, so I'm not knocking into people left and right. But I don't really feel bad about it because I can't tell you how many other people have done the same and almost walked straight into me. So far, I have found most of the people on Harmony of the Seas to be pretty kind and pretty nice. Obviously, there are exceptions to the norm. There are some rude people. But by and large, the vibe on this ship is pretty gentle and pretty kind. This is definitely a large ship. It holds over 6,000 people, but as crowded as it can seem at times, particularly at dining times or when they're having a big event in the Promenade, I commend Royal Caribbean for distributing the people really, really well on this ship. The elevators, to my surprise, have been actually quite nice. Yes, they can be crowded. Yes, there are some people who don't want to let you on. But whenever that happens, I just make eye contact and let them know that I'm coming on, whether they like it or not. And people move. And if they say anything, I find a gentle clap back about their mothers to be quite effective. Just kidding. No, I don't do that at all. I just give them a look and they usually just part and do the right thing. Now, I had some family members who wanted to try out the bionic bar before we had lunch. And on an empty stomach, I figured, you know what? Why not? I am on vacation. Let's see how this goes. The bionic bar is absolutely stunning. It is so beautiful. And, I thought at first that the concept was just completely gimmicky and that I would probably make fun of it and hate it. But would you believe I have fallen in love with this bar, and not just because of their incredibly strong drinks. But be warned, on the Harmony of the Seas, the bionic bar is serving honey. It is serving hard and strong, just the way a lady likes it. I just had to take some time and really admire the bar. It is beautiful to look at. And I got to tell you, there's something really cool about a robot making you a drink. And this was my first drink. This was, I believe, a banana dream. And I was super excited to test this out. And for the most part, I noticed whenever you order a drink at the bar, there are always going to be kids and people watching you because they're fascinated too. Typically, I am not a hard liquor drinker and I'm not that crazy about bananas, but I gotta tell you, I picked this drink randomly and loved it so much, I went back and ordered another banana drink, which was much, much stronger. Oh my God, I was not prepared for that. But hey, your girl drank it anyway. After that, we decided to go and have Jamie's Italian for lunch. Now, this is specialty dining, so it was $30 a person. But guys, they brought out this entire appetizer tray for us so that we could sample every single thing. And we were kind of blown away, particularly my niece Layla, who absolutely could not get over that they put this tray of magnificent food in front of us and acted like she had just won the lottery. God, she was so excited. This was the calamari, which I liked, but it was kind of chewy. And this was the mushroom tagliatelle, which I adored. Sorry, it's truffle, but you get the idea. Same thing, sort of, mostly. The dessert menu was nice. I ended up trying the tiramisu, and I love tiramisu usually, but I did not like this tiramisu. So I sent it back and decided to go for this lemon cheesecake, which was top tier. It was so good. Not too sweet, not too tart. It was after this that my mom wanted to walk through the Central Park area and make her way to the casino because Miss Linda had money in her pocket and she was ready to burn it. We went to the non-smoking casino because my mom likes the fresh air in there, and I won again, guys. I don't know what was going on because I have never in my life won on a Royal Caribbean ship, and honey, I don't know if the Royal Caribbean casino gods heard me or what, but I was on fire. I have never been so happy to actually be successful in a casino. I ended up cashing out while I was ahead because we had reservations to go see the show Columbus. I was actually the first person to get there, so I was at the front of the line. And this pretty much allowed me to pick anywhere that I wanted to sit, and I decided I didn't want to sit too close or too far back. I loved these seats because we had like a little railing we could put our drinks on. Now, Columbus was a typical Royal Caribbean show. In pure Royal Caribbean fashion, the show was bright and colorful. The singers and entertainers were incredible. The set design, absolutely beautiful, but the plot made absolutely zero sense. I have found that when you're on Royal Caribbean ships, it's better to just stop asking questions like, why is this happening? Why are these random ladies on the stage with umbrellas? And just go with it, like this shark wearing a cowboy hat, dancing with some cheeseburgers. The show was supposed to be about Christopher Columbus's cousin who was unsuccessful, but I think Royal Caribbean just had a bunch of songs they had licenses to and worked the show around it, and it showed. But I liked it. And by the time that the show was over, it was time for dinner. This is my French onion soup, which was super good, but served super hot. So beware, that cheese can burn your mouth, baby. This was my beef tenderloin, which was so much better than the prime rib that I had the night before. And this is the creme brulee, which for me is the star of the show. Now, it was formal night, and these two guys were dressed up as Dumb and Dumber, and my niece Madison was more than happy to pose with them for a picture. I went back to my cabin before going back to the casino, which I didn't film because I lost my money, baby. After 3 or 4 hours of burning through my stash, I waited in this long Sorrento's pizza line and had some very delicious pizza before going to bed. Welcome to day 3 of my Harmony of the Seas cruise. We woke up to really rocky seas and the weather was not that great. In fact, it was really rocky overnight, and so a lot of us were not feeling so great. We still decided to go out and look at the pool deck, and it was really nice that a lot of people were still trying to like power through and have a good time, but I'm sorry, the weather just wasn't that great for me, and so I just really wanted to admire it and get out of there as quickly as possible. At around 11:30, we made our way to the Windjammer Buffet, and if you know me, you know I'm not a great big fan of buffets, but I have to say it was actually a pleasant experience. We had a little bit of a wait, but otherwise it wasn't so bad. We got our plates and came over and had a good look at the food selection, and I was pleasantly surprised. They had some really good fish, which, as you can see here, I zoomed in on, and we were very satisfied with the food in the buffet. For people that don't like buffets, we actually really like this. After lunch, we decided to head on down to the Promenade and just kind of look around before we decided we were going to go to the Boot and Bonnet pub. My mother loves a good pub, and I decided to have a beer and just sit there with the girls as they had lemon drop martinis and just take in the atmosphere. Many of us were just not feeling well because of the motion, and it's worth noting that we had to stop in Cozumel because another passenger got super sick. My mom and I checked out the makeup on the ship, and we were very, very happy with the selection. Ladies, if you have a makeup crisis, I'm telling you, they definitely deliver here on Harmony of the Seas. They even have the Sephora collection, which is honestly a big favorite of mine, and I just really liked their store and their selection. After dropping off my mom, my niece and I decided to come back to the Boot and Bonnet and do some cocktail trivia. Now, many of you have asked where my cousin Chris is, and he wasn't able to make it, so I decided to order a Maker's Old Fashioned in his honor and decided that I was just not a Maker's girl. My niece found these cute little ducks, and I very slowly finished off this Old Fashioned. By the time trivia was over, it was time for dinner. I selected these mushroom risotto balls, which were fantastic, and the table was curious about these polenta fries, and they were just okay. I had the lasagna, which really blew me away. Guys, the lasagna was really, really good. And because the tiramisu was not good at Jamie's, I chose this hazelnut cake, which is honestly a lot like the carnival lava cake. After dinner, I really wanted to spend some time in Central Park and just take in how beautiful it is. It was so lovely. And my aunt and uncle had never been on the Rising Tides bar, so we decided to take a couple of laps on it. And again, just a wonderful experience. Very beautiful, very pretty to look at, and honestly, a lot of fun. We ended up back at Central Park at night, and it's just so beautiful. There was an incredible jazz band that played out there, and we stopped and listened for a while and just really tried to take in the beauty of the environment. I really don't think my camera does it justice. It really is that beautiful. Because of the rocky seas, I'm not feeling so great, so decided to call it an early night. Hopefully tomorrow, everyone will be feeling better.
Buy underwear from the port. Because that was one of the things I didn't get to
It was recording.
Oh.
Welcome to day 4 of my Harmony of the Seas cruise. And yes, I had permission to share that because my niece's washing machine broke literally the day that we left for our cruise. So she had some things that she needed to buy, baby. And this was definitely our first port. Now, luckily, we had a lovely day in Roatan. It was lovely and sunny, although there was one cloud that looked like it might rain on us. I am so happy that they have added this lovely swim-up bar area. If I had had my swimsuit on, believe me, I would have been in that water, y'all. Y'all know how I love a swim-up bar. But instead, we just did some shopping, and because it was so humid, I decided to get back on the ship. Again, I'll be back in 2 months, so it's not too big of a deal for me. And while they did warn us that it was extremely hot and humid in Roatan, I got to be honest with you, it was way hotter and humid than I had prepared. Well, more humid than hot. But the humidity made it feel like it was like 102. I felt like I was in a sauna. My niece ended up going back into town with my other niece, Madison, but I decided to take my uncle, my aunt, and my mom to the Windjammer buffet instead. Now, again, we are not buffet people, but we are loving the Harmony of the Seas buffet. Guys, look at this dessert spread. They had Napoleons. They were so good too. My mom and I ended up going to the casino where we lost more money, but we had a lot of fun doing it, so we figure it's worth it, at least when you're having a little bit of fun. I have been pleasantly surprised with the casino so far. My mom and I went to Bolero's before we decided to go back and have a nap, but I really enjoy a quiet ship, guys. I've said it before, a lot of people love to get off in port, but I like to stay on the ship. I really enjoy the quiet. I went back to my cabin just to enjoy my view, and look at what I spotted off in the distance, a Carnival Fun Ship. I couldn't see the name of the ship, but it was really good to see it out there. I even kind of instinctively waved, but I'm pretty sure nobody saw me. Now for dinner, some of us decided to skip the main dining room, which was Caribbean night, and honestly not my favorite on Royal, if I'm being honest, and instead we went to Wonderland. Now this is something I have wanted to do for a very long time, and I was so excited to finally be on a ship that had the experience. On Allure of the Seas, I remember this area being a diamond and pinnacle lounge. But I'm so happy to see that they have opened it up and made a restaurant out of it, because every time that I passed this type of area on the Allure, there was hardly anybody ever sitting in there. And I have to tell you that Wonderland is a pretty fantastic experience. They make you come down these stairs, but don't worry, guys. If you're in a wheelchair or if you have a stroller, they do have an elevator that you can use. But otherwise, for the rest of us, I have to tell you, those stairs were very knee friendly. If you know, you know. Now, I love that they seated us in a pretty central area so I could look directly out the back of the ship. And they give you these frames and they give you water, which you're supposed to put on your menu that will reveal exactly what's on the menu. And I was a little disappointed at first, guys, because you could clearly see the pink or red writing, but you can still reveal the black writing, which did add to it. Though I really wish that they would update the menus a little more often, so that guests like myself could get the full experience. The restaurant is visually very, very pretty to look at, and my family and I were super excited to try this. I'm not going to lie though, looking out at this view made me really miss my boardwalk balcony cabin that I had on Allure. I ended up trying this signature cocktail, the White Rabbit, and my mom tried, I'm not exactly sure what the name of it was, but it basically was a cosmopolitan with cotton candy in it. Which, if you know my mom, who loves Cosmos and cotton candy, this was a no-brainer. She said it was very, very good. Now, I'm not sure if it was because there were 5 of us or if they do this with everyone, but they basically brought out every single appetizer for us to try. This was a weird play on deviled eggs, and this was some sort of mushroom composite, and this was some sort of liquid lobster, and this was some sort of shrimp wrapped in what my mom called shredded wheat, which it was not. This was some sort of sushi concoction, and this was a play on caprese salad. It's worth mentioning that the food at Wonderland looks very, very different, but I found it to be very good. A lot of you warned me that it wouldn't be, but we really liked it. Now, this was a play on wonton soup, and this was a fan favorite. We really liked that. And this was some tuna tartare with what we described as something that tasted like margarita on top. My niece went for the chicken and the egg, and I went with the braised short rib. Now, they served this with a bunch of purees and jellies around the side that you were supposed to try with your short rib to heighten your experience, but I did not like most of those purees and jellies and just ate my short rib the old-fashioned way. Now, my cousin Butch went for the halibut, and he really, really liked it. He said that this like gravy that they poured on top of it was super tasty and super good. But I thought the desserts were really the stars of the show. The mushrooms were actually white chocolate and French meringues. The apple was a berry cobbler, and the chocolate was just some sort of chocolate ball that you poured caramel over that revealed some mousse and delicious chocolate stuff inside. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but we all really, really loved the desserts. If you have kids, I highly recommend bringing them here because they actually do have a good looking children's menu that looked really good. We saw the food brought out for the kids, and every time somebody poured this glaze over the chocolate ball and there was a kid nearby, you would hear oohs and ahs every time. So even though this food was kind of fancy and strange looking, it was a big hit with kids. And all of us adults actually really enjoyed the food. So many of you had told me, it's a fun presentation. The food's not so good. You might want to get some pizza after. But actually, we were absolutely stuffed by the time this was over. And some of us are picky eaters, so that's saying a lot. Now, after dinner, we had reservations for the Fine Line, and we just spent a little bit of time admiring the beauty of the boardwalk area. Harmony of the Seas is a gorgeous, gorgeous ship. And although I had seen some shows in the Aqua Theater on Allure of the Seas, I will tell you I much, much preferred the Fine Line to what I saw on Allure of the Seas. This area gets super crowded, so if you have reservations, please make sure that you go to this area at least 20 minutes before the show starts because people start snapping those seats up, honey. After the show started, we had several people that tried to take people's chairs when they got up to use the restroom. And it was very frustrating having to tell people, no, this chair is reserved. Somebody's sitting here. They just got up to use the restroom. And I can't blame them for wanting to see the show because as you can see, Royal does entertainment so very well. After having sailed on Norwegian the past couple of cruises, I have to tell you, it was so refreshing to be on a ship that has so much entertainment. While Norwegian's entertainment was good on the Bliss, it was not that great on the Prima. And getting here on the Harmony has made me realize just how much work Norwegian needs to do to get their entertainment right. Because although the plot lines for Royal shows make absolutely no sense, and they clearly build their shows around the songs that they're able to get licensed for, they definitely know how to give the oohs and the ahs. Because if their shows aren't stimulating your mind, they are absolutely stimulating your eyes. It was an absolutely wonderful day, and I'm just really loving being back on a Royal Caribbean ship. Welcome to day 5 of my Harmony of the Seas cruise. We woke up in Costa Maya with this big, beautiful MSC ship parked in front of us, and because I've been there many times, I decided to stay on the ship and help my mom, who wasn't feeling well. We both slept in, and for lunch, we decided to go again to the Windjammer. Now, this was some protein that I picked out for my mom and I to share, and it was surprisingly good, but where the Windjammer shines is their desserts. At least on this ship, anyway. Afterwards, we decided just to walk around the ship and take in the beauty of the ship without a lot of people on it. I've said many, many times before, I love empty ships. And I really just enjoyed the peace and quiet until other guests began to slowly come back on board. My niece went into Costa Maya with some other family members, and so I decided to wait at the schooner bar until she got there. She ended up having a really great day, and then she found me in the schooner bar, and we just relaxed. I ordered a s'mores old-fashioned with Maker's Mark in honor of my cousin, and then it was time for dinner, where I had this roasted poblano soup, which was really good, shrimp cocktail, which was pretty good, and the salmon that the waiter tried to warn me against. I ordered anyway, said it was overcooked, and he brought me this cheeseburger, which I adored, and followed by some tres leche cake. Again, I just really enjoyed walking around the ship, and that's basically what I did for the most part of day 5. I then ended up going to the casino where I lost more money, but again, had fun doing it. I don't mind losing as long as I'm having a good time, and I definitely have a good time with some of these newer updated machines. At the end of the day, we decided to go see some karaoke, and there were so many amazing and talented singers. Honestly, it was just a beautiful, easy, and very chill day where I just took care of my mom and enjoyed the calm. Welcome to day 6 of my Harmony of the Seas cruise. Now, we had originally planned to go to Paradise Beach in Cozumel. We had a whole excursion planned, but as you can see, it was raining. So we decided instead just to go into the port and just spend our day drinking and having fun. We originally wanted to go to Señor Frog's, but they were closed until 10 a.m. But Tequila A Go-Go, which is right next door, was open and seemed like a really cool and fun spot to get a few drinks. Not gonna lie, the prices were definitely more expensive than they were last year, but I will say they do offer some tasty drinks that definitely pack a punch. My nieces, Madison and Layla, decided they were going to try these Jello shots and also take other shots from this gentleman who was walking around and selling, I think, pretty inexpensive shots, which the girls definitely felt. Now, your girl here, I don't do that anymore. I learned my lesson a long time ago. But these girlies, they're new, they're young, they're just now of legal drinking age. So they really wanted to come into port and have a good time. And that they did. This guy was a lot of fun. He kept offering them more and more shots and was just giving them shots like crazy. And they were loving every minute of it. Now, this would have been terrifying if they didn't have myself and Dolly, Madison's grandmother, with us. But you know what? We ended up having a really great day despite the rain. And I'm not going to lie, we probably would have done all this at Paradise Beach, but we would have done it on the beach itself. The only thing I didn't like was the constant whistling, which I know they do to amp up the fun experience, but it really wasn't my scene. After we had quite a few drinks over there, we moved over to Margaritaville, which was definitely a fun experience. Again, we had planned to spend the whole day at the beach, so it was actually nice to spend it here in the port. I have absolutely been to Margaritaville in the past, but the past few times that I've gone into Cozumel, I've had a beach excursion instead. And it's worth noting that the prices for drinks were definitely cheaper over here. But the shot guy right here, the one that was at Tequila Go-Go, apparently he just walks around between the different bars and offers these shots, which the girls were more than happy to take over at Margaritaville like they did at Tequila Go-Go. I will say that I definitely preferred the drinks over at Margaritaville, and they were about $3 or $4 cheaper. So if you're in Cozumel and you can't get a seat at Margaritaville, then go on over to Tequila Go-Go. But if you can get a seat at Margaritaville, I highly recommend going there. I guess my only criticism of Margaritaville is that they sell Pepsi products. But I don't know if it was all the drinks that I'd had or what, but I really loved this Pepsi Black, which I had never had before. I am a very proud Diet Coke girly, but I have to tell you, for whatever reason, the Pepsi Black was really doing it for me. Now, after the girls had gotten so many shots, Dolly demanded that she get a free shot, and this was the free shot that he gave her. It's worth noting that I was just dying of laughter, as was everyone else around us, because she made such a big deal about wanting her free shot. She really couldn't complain that that's the way that he gave it to her. Here he was trying to talk me into it, but I said no. Guys, the truffle fries over at Margaritaville, they were so good. And yeah, we ended up getting some extra shots on top of it. We were definitely making some fun decisions, but
yes, more bad decisions! More bad decisions!
Now, if we'd been smart women, we would have stopped there, but I don't think I have to tell you that we kept going with the bad decisions. Dolly was brave and took another shot after this, but it was time for us to go, honey. We clearly needed to get back on the ship and get some naps because we had reservations for Chops. After a shower and a lot, and I mean a lot of water, I made my way through Central Park to meet the rest of my family over at Chops. Again, I cannot tell you just how beautiful the Central Park area is on these Oasis class ships. When I sailed on the Allure of the Seas last year, it had just gone through a terrible freeze and the Central Park was starting to become beautiful again, but oh my goodness, on Harmony of the Seas, it's just beautiful over here. This is easily one of my favorite places on the ship. I think I'd be happy with a Central Park balcony for sure. Now, I was surprised when I got into Chops to see that there weren't that many people here. It had been a while since I had been at Chops. Last year, I went to 150 Central Park. I hadn't gone to Chops, and it was so good to be back. The menu was pretty much the way that I had left it, and I can't tell you how much I do adore the Chops crab cake. Not to mention this onion bread that does look like Baby Yoda's head. I ended up going for the lobster bisque, which was super yummy, and also just the filet. I ended up getting the New York cheesecake, and my mom ended up getting the key lime pie, which, guys, look at this key lime pie. Is it not gorgeous? I know a lot of people don't want to pay for specialty dining, but I personally think it's worth it. Welcome to day 7 of my Harmony of the Seas cruise. Now, we woke up to a gorgeous, gorgeous day, but I was really bummed out that this was our last day because we were having so much fun on the Harmony. Now, my family and I decided to skip breakfast and instead meet for lunch in the main dining room. A lot of people don't realize that Royal Caribbean offers lunch in the main dining room on sea days, and I didn't realize this myself until the very last day. But after one of you suggested it, I was super excited to try it because lunch is served on deck 3 and we had been eating on deck 5. So it was really nice to see the dining room from this position and angle. The lunch menu was super impressive, and I was super excited because this was much better than the buffet fare that I'd been having upstairs, although the buffet was super good. First, I had this croissant type of roll. It wasn't a croissant. It was a nice roll. And then I had this clam chowder that was tomato based, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. Now, this dessert is called the Floating Island, and it is from God on high. It was truly the best thing that I have ever had. I fell in love. After lunch, my family and I just decided to go to the Rising Tide Bar and just enjoy some time there where we had several drinks and fantastic conversation before going to dinner. Now, the last night of dinner was actually really good. In the past, I kind of felt like the meals were the worst on the last night, but they were really good. I had the lump crab cake, which was pretty good, followed by some sort of steak with some chimichurri sauce on the side, which I wasn't crazy about, but the steak was actually really, really tasty. For dessert, I'm not sure exactly what this was, but it was very, very similar to creme brulee. And then I just had to go to the boardwalk and spend my last few hours out here just enjoying the weather, enjoying the ship, and feeling so sad that my cruise was finally over. It did make me miss my boardwalk balcony cabin, though, that I had on the Allure. I watched this gorgeous sunset as I packed up my stuff. I was so sad to be leaving the cruise ship, guys. I really love this cruise. The next morning, I got up super early and watched them fill up balloons before ultimately getting off the ship. Harmony of the Seas may be one of the best cruises I've ever taken.